Shalom, my name is Todd Bennett from Shema, Yisrael, and today I'd like to discuss the question of whether Christians should celebrate Christmas. Now, this video was prompted by an email question that I received concerning the origins and the use of the term Christian, which actually has very broad implications to the question at hand regarding Christmas. Now, we first read about that term Christian in Acts 11:26, and in a typical English translation from the Greek, we read, "So it was that for a whole year they assembled with the church and taught a great many people, and the disciples were first called Christians in Antioch." Now, it's important to remember that this English translation comes from the Greek, and it actually reinforces some traditions that are not necessarily accurate in the original text. For instance, the use of the word church can be misleading. In the Greek, we read ecclesia, which means set apart assembly, but it's been translated as the English word church. Ecclesia is actually the same as the Hebrew word kahal, which often referred to the set apart assembly of Yisrael in the Bible. So the passage in Acts is specifically referring to the disciples of the Messiah who were part of Yisrael through the covenant renewed by the Messiah. Now, the original question posed to me was what I thought about the term Christian. Some say it was a pejorative reference, while others look at it positively. And we can't know for sure if the label Christian was originally worn as a badge of honor or considered to be an insult. But any way you look at it, it was a Greek word applied to those who followed the Hebrew Messiah, Yeshua. Now, we know before this Antioch label, they used such identifiers as the Notzrim, which means branches, also Nazarenes and followers of the way. So there were various labels that the followers of Yeshua used to distinguish themselves from the other sects of Israel, such as the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Sicarii, the Essenes. There were various sects of the community of Israel, and so they were using various labels to distinguish them from the others. The important point is that no matter what title was used, those who followed Yeshua were supposed to be joining with Yisrael through the renewed covenant, which was renewed by the Messiah, Yeshua. And that's what distinguished them from all others in Yisrael. And that actually was the culmination of the work of the Messiah at his first coming. What is commonly called the Last Supper was actually a Passover meal, where Yeshua, as the Lamb of Elohim, was renewing the covenant that had been broken with Israel. And he was demonstrating that through his blood, he would cover the sins of those in covenant with him, and that he would protect them from death. It was a fulfillment of the prior event in Exodus. Now, that covenant provided the path to restoration into the kingdom. And the prophets foretold of a time when the divided and exiled tribes of Yisrael would once again be restored through the Messiah, the son of David. Now, that's what the Bible teaches, but the question is whether that is what Christians believe. And while many people may claim to believe and trust in Jesus, if they're rejecting the very covenant that Yeshua renewed, then are they really following the Messiah? Yeshua the Messiah specifically stated in Matthew 5:17 through 20. He said, "Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly, I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the Torah, till all is fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven." So now these are some very powerful words, because most people in Christianity believe that Jesus came to abolish the Torah, which they refer to as the law. Yeshua came teaching the exact opposite and said that not the smallest part of the Torah would pass as long as heaven and earth remained. And he was intimately connecting the Torah with all of creation because it's actually the foundation and framework for creation. So here we see one glaring example of the difference between the words of the Messiah, whose true Hebrew name was Yeshua, and the Christian Christ named Jesus. The Christian Jesus does not accurately represent the Messiah, who came and died according to the Torah and the prophets, so that the kingdom of Elohim could be restored through the covenant with Yisrael. So this misidentification of the Messiah and his teachings plays a large role in the labels that people assume and wear. And this leads us to the question of Christmas, because most Christians celebrate Christmas as the birth of Jesus, but they fail to understand that Jesus does not accurately represent the Messiah, Yeshua. And Yeshua was not born on December 25th. Rather, he was born on the appointed time provided in the scriptures known as Yom Teruah, the day of trumpets, or the day of blasting. It's day 1 of month 7 on the Creator's calendar. Now, the fact that the Christian Jesus has been so disconnected from the covenant with Israel places him with all of the other sun gods born on December 25th who promised salvation outside of the covenant with Yisrael. And it's well documented that Christmas is a pagan celebration rooted in Babylonian sun worship. It was linked to the winter solstice, which previously occurred on December 25th. Due to the precession of the equinoxes, the solstice now lands on December 21st, but the traditions associated with December 25th stuck with that date. And it's the date when all ancient sun gods were said to be born, because after the solstice, the days began to grow longer, and it was seen as a rebirth or a birthing of the sun. Now, it's clear that the original disciples of Yeshua would never have celebrated Christmas, and likely those called Christians at Antioch would not have either. It was only centuries later that the Roman Empire essentially blended the belief in Yeshua with popular pagan sun worship concepts and aggressively separated the new religion from its ancient Hebrew roots. This new religion was called Christianity, and adherents were called Christians. They believed in a Christ called Isus instead of the Messiah named Yahushua. The name Isus is thought to be linked with the sun god Zeus, and the English name Jesus has no etymological link to Yeshua, which contains the name of Yahuwah, the Creator, the Father. In fact, there was no J in the Hebrew language, the Greek language, the Latin language, so it was an absolute impossibility that the Messiah was ever named Jesus. We know his name is linked to the patriarch's name of Joshua, and again, there's no J in the Hebrew language, and the man we call Joshua was actually named Yeshua, and that is also the name of the Messiah, as the Messiah came and fulfilled patterns that we read of through Joshua, Yeshua. Now, Christianity rejects the Torah and the covenant made with Yisrael also. It rejects the signs of that covenant, such as circumcision and the seventh-day Sabbath. And it's established a new entity called the Church, and it celebrates certain Babylonian festivals, such as Christmas and Easter, instead of the appointed times commanded in the Torah. The Christ Jesus, promoted by the Christian Church, is actually diametrically opposed to the Messiah Yeshua described in the Scriptures. And this may be the greatest deception of all time, because we have many Christians who think that they're believing in and following the true Messiah, but they're not. They mistakenly believe that because they have received the grace or mercy of Yahuwah through the shed blood of the Messiah, that they no longer need to obey the commandments. And by rejecting the Torah, they've become lawless. Lawless or lawlessness refers to the condition of those who do not obey the commandments. And Yeshua the Messiah specifically warned of this deception in Matthew 7:21 through 23, when he said, "Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Now, there's no other group on this planet that fits this definition of many people other than Christians. There are many Christians on this planet, and they will all likely call Yeshua Lord when they stand before him. The problem is that he tells many people who call him Lord to depart from him because he doesn't know them. And the reason he doesn't know them is because they practice lawlessness. They were and are without the Torah. They reject the Torah, so they're not in the renewed covenant. The renewed covenant is the conduit for a restored relationship with the Creator, and you cannot have a relationship with him outside of that covenant. The covenant was made with Yisrael, and Christians specifically identify with the church, not Yisrael, and that's why Yeshua doesn't know them. He did not renew the covenant with the Christian church, even though they believe that they are the beneficiaries of this new covenant. So again, the grave warning issued by Yeshua sounds like it can only apply to Christians who follow the teachings of the Christian religion. He was also very clear that many would follow a path that leads to destruction. He said, enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. Matthew 7:13. The narrow gate is the way defined by the Torah, which literally means the instructions. And Yeshua, as the Lamb of Elohim, died and shed his blood so that his blood could be placed on the doors, the mantles, so that we can enter through that doorway that leads into the covenant, that narrow gate, that narrow way. Now, the righteous instructions in the Torah show us how we should live set apart lives in order to be restored to a relationship with the Creator and dwell with a righteous Elohim once we have been cleansed by that blood. So while I don't believe that anyone should celebrate Christmas because it's a Babylonian celebration rooted in sun worship, the question of whether a Christian should celebrate Christmas depends upon what that Christian believes. Do they identify with those disciples in Antioch who were first called Christians, the ones who followed Yeshua, the Messiah of Yisrael? Or do they identify with the Roman Christian Church, a religion that's separated from the covenant with Yisrael, that promotes a Christ named Jesus who's opposed to the teachings of Messiah Yeshua? The answer to that question will determine whether they celebrate Christmas or not.